Welcome, my beautiful souls, and welcome, my gorgeous Sagittariuses. Um, Sagittarians, maybe that's the way you say it. Anyway, this is going to be your November 2025 reading. And I want to say happy birthday to those who will be celebrating in November. Yeah, happy birthday. And, those going into December also. So, what we're doing is we're going to take a deep look at your month for November, and we want to know, we want to look at love, all different aspects of it. Um, because I know we have, people looking for different things. So, just going to ask our spirit guides to try to cover as many, as much as they can regarding what's in your heart, what it is that you need, the comfort and clarity that you need. Um, we'll be checking on your gifts. For some reason, I feel like there's a lot of you have, I don't know, like special gifts, like healers, light workers. Um, But even beyond that, I just feel special gifts. So we'll see how they come into play. And definitely we'll be checking on your money, see how that's going, anything you need to know. So really what we're doing is we're letting our guides just kind of direct your movie and just let's be surprised at what comes out. I have a feeling it's going to be a good reading. I got a feeling. So let's go ahead and begin the reading. So we're going to use Mother Mary, not used, but Mother Mary will open up your reading. We will use the crystal vision to go deeper, and deep we go. We are going to use our major arcanas. These are like our bullet points of what the reading is going to be about. But many times they tell their own beautiful little message. So, it's a deck that I just can't leave out of the monthly readings, at least. I love them. I love what they bring, the value they bring to the reading. And for your main spread, it's interesting because I had a different deck all ready to go, but then this deck called me. And this is a universal tarot. So we'll see why. But it definitely, like, I literally changed decks, which I don't do very often. But I just felt that. So let's go ahead and open up the reading. By the way, this is for Sagittarius Sun, Moon, or Rising. You can have a combination for sure. It's for those who are intuitively guided. We all have a little Sagittarius in us anyway, but I love that more and more are really paying attention to their intuition because, at this table at least, I feel like the readings are open to who, well, let's just say spirit puts in front of them. So the more you trust your intuition, um, I feel like the more value you get out of a reading. Trust your intuition above all. And certainly feel free to ask your spirit guides to give you signs of confirmation. Is this reading for me? You should feel it. It is a soul to soul reading, and you should really feel it. Um, but yeah, definitely feel free to ask your guides. They're just waiting. Like, ask me. Um, and you would ask them to say like a certain word or a number. Like I say random things all the time. And what I've learned is like a couple months ago, pink flamingo, which was a strange thing for me to even say. But then that was someone's word to their spirit guides. Like that was their confirmation. So that's what I'm saying. I know how spirit works. Um, just trust. Trust within your team, your spiritual team, but also trust within your own intuition. So again, we'll use the Tarot of Dreams for, or not the Tarot of Dreams, the Universal Tarot for the main spread. Let's go ahead and begin with Mother Mary. Mother Mary. And let's go ahead and bring the lid down a little bit. There we go. All right, Mother Mary. Sagittarius. Got a few. All right. Hope. Love it. Hope. Reminds me of the Star card. I trust that God has a wonderful solution and brilliant plans in store for me. Well, I know that's true. Hope. Keeping that hope alive. It's interesting. I just did a channeled message from our guides, and that was one of the things they spoke about. Keeping your hope alive. All right, then we have truth. This is like judgment. I am lovingly honest with myself and others. So important. I feel like, why lie to ourselves? Sometimes I know it's easier, but the truth shall set you free. This reminds me of Judgment, your spiritual team. That's one of their first messages is truth. Like, be completely truthful with oneself. And then action. Action. Today, I take actions related to the priorities that I have previously put off. So, hope, like the star, your hopes, your dreams, your wishes. And will they manifest? I feel like yes. Truth, being honest with yourself. It may talk about, the reading may talk about something that you do need to be very honest with yourself about, because then there's action. So it's like you're being honest with yourself and even with others, and then you're taking some type of action. But I love that action is actually mirroring hope. So it makes me feel like a dream is coming true, but it will take your physical action. Okay. Normally I'd leave him out, but we're gonna leave him in this direction. I'll remember. All right, let's bring in the major arcanas. Give him a shuffle and a cut. Everything is always pre-shuffled, by the way, for anyone who is new. And welcome everyone. I should have said that in the beginning. All right, major arcanas. Sagittarius, nose guided. Some of you may be in love with the Sagittarius, and that could be why you're here. But stay open. Okay. So we have Justice, card Libra. This talks about cutting ties. And it means that, why is it important to use the sword of justice? Usually when justice shows something is unbalanced, something is making you feel unbalanced, because justice's job is about making you whole again, what's fair and just in your life. It's interesting though, because it's sitting next to the hangman. So the hangman is seeking spiritual wisdom, but to use on this earthly plane. Some of you may have been thinking long and hard about using that sword of justice. And the hangman is swaying towards the future. So let's see if anything else wants to come out. Beautiful. The magician, the manifester. I feel like for some of you, because the magician is going to represent 2026 for us universally. And it's going to be a powerful energy. I'm just telling you, it's going to be powerful. And this year is about like that final reflection. Who's got to go? Who can stay? What's got to go? It can even be my own thought system. It's about using that sword to cut whatever ties that bind you so that you can be free. The magician is a great mentor. It teaches, well, right now he's looking at the hangman, telling the hangman, you possess all the tools you need to be successful in this next journey. It might just, like Mother Mary said, it may just need some action. That sword again, we just might have to use that sword. And it doesn't have to be, something major, but it can have major effects. I feel like once you use that sword, you kind of set yourself free. And when the hangman becomes free, this hangman then is in this state of a spiritual awakening. We have the moon, card of Pisces, ruler of Cancer. The moon speaks about, well, a couple different things. It can be very dreamy energy. Some of you, I have a feeling you've been having these dreams. Um, and they could be like, when you're sleeping. But then I also feel even during your waking hours, there could be like certain dreams that you've had that maybe you haven't gone after. Maybe something has been holding you back, but this feels like it's now setting you free. I feel like the moon also represents, you can only see as far as the moonlight allows you to see. But sometimes that's a good thing because that means let's go step by step by step, right? Sometimes we got to let go of like what will be the ultimate outcome and understand that we're creating it as we go. So if we want a good outcome, then we just need to put the action um energy behind that, especially with the magician here. And I get this feeling like this is saying, try to use that sword before the beginning of 2026. Don't be afraid of the uncertainties because truly you are writing this as you go. Like this is your novel, right? And how do you want your novel to read? I got hung up in this tree for ever and I never moved. Or I used that sword, which I feel is also a gift that we're given. Like that sword is to be used whenever you feel like you need it. Like, and again, sometimes it could be our own thought system, but I do feel like this is like cutting ties either with someone or something. And then you're wondering what will happen next. So again, the magician is reminding you that, this can be an unbelievable chapter. You just have to see it that way. Remember, Mother Mary said, hope, keep that hope alive. But then action. It's kind of the same thing the magician seems to be telling the hangman, right? Like, it's not about waiting for miracles to happen. It's about the miracles that you can create. All right, let's bring in the Universal Tarot and let's go deeper. Give him a cut. Let's begin. I don't know why I'm talking so low. Okay, well, a lot came out. Three of Pentacles. We'll talk. I'm going to lay him down, and then we'll talk about him. Seven of Wands. Four of Pentacles. So we went from the Three of Pentacles to the Four of Pentacles to the Death card. card of Scorpio, your neighbor, and then the Six of Pentacles. So out of 5 cards, 3 of them are Pentacles. So let's talk about them now. So I love the Three of Pentacles as your first card because the Three of Pentacles, number one, it can talk about your creativity and not being afraid to move into something. Um, Sometimes we worry that, like, let's say we're starting a business, like, will anyone reach out? I feel like this is telling you that they will. This is about celebrating your individuality and your creativity. I often feel in the Three of Pentacles like there's this secret admirer. We'll see, but I often feel that, and I'm kind of feeling that again. But then we have the Seven of Wands, which is about standing your ground. And then we have the Four of Pentacles, which is about your foundation, and your foundation may be changing. And I say that because next to it is the Death card. So the Death card talks about, a door that really does need to close. And that's so this new door can open up, like the Magician, a number one. And, the Magician is the Fool's greatest mentor. And we are always the Fool on any new path we're starting. The only thing about the Four of Pentacles is there can be a little bit of resistance in its energy. Like, where I'm not being open-minded, let's say. I get a feeling there are some who are fighting over a house. Yet, the Death card, I feel like, let's just say if, I'm cutting ties with someone and there's arguing over, the material possessions. I would say think long and hard about what really matters and what really doesn't matter. Because I feel like you're starting on this new path, and whatever you have to give away or close the door to, this speaks about a new door that opens up always. And I feel like it's always a blessing. But the ticket is we have to learn to close these doors. It reminds me of like justice, right? I have to use that sword of justice. I don't have to use it, but if I want change, then this is showing us how we can have that change. And then we move into the Six of Pentacles, which is a very empathetic and compassionate type energy. This is about learning that fine art of give and take. And because it's mirroring the Three of Pentacles, it does make me feel like this sword, for some of you, is cutting someone out of your life. Because, from the 3 to the 6, or the 6 back down to the 3. But even if that's the case, we do go back up to the 6. So the Death card, the closing of the door, connected to the Magician, like really, there is nothing to fear except fear itself. And I feel like in the Death card, I feel movement with that energy. And I feel like what it's doing is, let's put it this way. This has been a year of true reflection through the Hermit's energy. This is a year where anyone who is seeking the light will find the light. But it's also a year of truth. That is why Mother Mary brought out truth, right? Like, I need to be truthful with myself and how I want my life to look. And I say that because I feel like when this door closes, it's actually moving you closer to like soulmate energy, whether that be like a soulmate or like your soulmate family. Like, I feel we're all soulmate family. Even those who are new, it's just like, welcome home. Welcome home. But I do get the sense that some may be going back and forth, maybe about a house, definitely something with money. Like in that Four of Pentacles, someone doesn't, it feels like I don't want to give up this money. This money is mine, and it may be yours. But I would also say, like, what is worth the fight and what is not. And I know, well, it's money, it's my money. And I'm not telling you that, like, you should just be like, yeah, I'm going to give you all my money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I really feel this sense of, I just have to understand what's truly important because material things can be replaced. They can be, trust me. That's been my whole life. Like, I've moved so many times that my last move to Sam's house literally was 2 suitcases. That's it. So, are there things that I miss? Yes, silly little things like the desk that I had, but I love this desk. You know what I mean? So my desk was replaced. Um, which may sound silly, but this is where I spend the majority of my time. This is actually a glass table that I painted, and I don't know, I just love it. So that sounds silly, but that's what I'm saying. Like things can be replaced. Your peace of mind feels like it's more important here. I have a feeling that, well, let's talk about the Six of Pentacles because that is learning that fine art of give and take. And, we're either giving or we're taking. And it's about finding that balance, right? But it's also knowing in the Six of Pentacles, I feel like one of the lessons we learn is who to help and who not to help. Because again, it's compassionate energy. So sometimes my compassion may make me want to help someone who then takes advantage of my help. Shame on them. But again, that may be the door. All right, let's keep going. Oh, remember when you see the death card? What it really talks about is rebirth. Like, don't leave that part out, right? So, yes, a closing of a door, but then a true rebirth. Like, I feel like we should never fear the death card. All right, let's keep going. Oh, hello, Knight of Cups. Oh, wow. Unexpected cup of fulfillment. Maybe love. He does have a cup in his hand. This is a night that you really can't plan for. I guess you could plan, like, the best way to plan, I guess, if, again, I'm wondering whether you use that sword, but you would be unhappy. I'm not telling anyone to use that sword just because. This is something that feels like it might be holding you back, something that may just be over. But this, my friends, is the beginning of something new. And I love that it's coming under the Three of Pentacles because the Three of Pentacles is again about celebrating your individuality. Well, this means that someone's going to love you for exactly who you are. And remember how I said that, I think I said it in this reading where I feel like in the Three of Pentacles, there's like this secret admirer. We have the Two of Pentacles. So I feel like that cup is coming in, and now you're making a decision. Which, the ball was always put back in our court again. And then we have the Strength card, card of Leo, coming under that Four of Pentacles. It has the infinity number above her head. As above, so below. No beginning, no end. This is really about looking within oneself. Again, truth. Um, this is the balancing of the light and the shadow within ourselves. It's like taming the beast. And we all have that beast within us, whatever that may be. But listen, sometimes that beast needs to come out. But this is you controlling it, right? This is you having control over oneself. It's also an 8, so certainly 8s represent a new beginning. I get this Two of Pentacles because, especially for those who really do need to use that sword, and I know that's not an easy thing, even if I want to, like, even if I want to move on, sometimes change is just hard. And I feel like that's exactly what the hangman is trying to figure out. Like, if I use this sword, am I going to be okay? And, the magician, like the magician, our greatest mentor, telling you, yes, like truly, yes. And I feel like it's more about just taking a step forward and letting the past be the past. This is a really important time to really reflect. I mean, really, on let's just say how you want the next 9 years of your life to look. You are the author. You are the co-creator. And that's what the magician is also trying to remind you. Sometimes we forget who we are, right? We forget that we're a spiritual being in a human body. So there's really nothing that we cannot handle. And many times, some of the hardest things have taught us, like important lessons, have given us major growth. And I feel like you're on your way again. You're on your way again. All right, let's keep going. See what comes under the Death card. King of Swords. Can be Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We do have Libra on the board. But, it doesn't have to be that. This king seems to be following the Death card. And he's in line with the Knight of Cups. And by the way, male or female? Like, that's just how I read at this table. Because I know there's men and women. So this King of Swords can be a Queen of Swords for some. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, hello, marriage card. Mirroring the Knight of Cups. Look at that. Knight of Cups coming in. Unexpected. Makes sense that this would be the last card of this spread. We're not done yet, but that makes sense. So it's interesting how I keep saying, like, It's not about the final outcome, but this kind of is the final outcome. Or let's just say this is the potential. So they do call it the marriage card. I call it the true commitment card. I feel like when they fall in love for life. And listen, you may have thought the same thing up here, but here's the thing. We do have to kiss a lot of frogs before we find our ultimate prince or princess. This feels like it's them. Again, there's not much I can do as it relates to this Knight of Cups, but I feel like that's what this first line is about, right? The death card, the closing of the door, the final using of that sword. It sets this hangman free. And then the ability to start creating, what's next. I love the Three of Pentacles also because it speaks also about your creativity. And honestly, it doesn't matter how many people do what you do. It signifies that nobody does it like you. And to be comfortable within your own gifts. And again, that 3 that goes to the 6 is almost like multiplying. And that may be why I'm feeling like if I'm fighting with someone over like material things, I just need to think about like what's worth the fight, what's not worth the fight. Because you don't know this night is coming in. Of course, I just told you. Because it is unexpected. But it is mirroring the marriage card. And it's kind of beautiful. It's coming under the 6 of Pentacles, right? Empathetic, compassionate. It's kind of giving us an idea of who's in this Knight of Cups. So let's look at the King of Swords. Let's forget the sign, even, male or female. Let's talk about their energy. This is someone who lives life with integrity. When they were a page, maybe not. This is what they've grown into. This is someone where truth is so important. And I know it's important for you also. And you may not have been getting that. And that could have driven you a little crazy. So I like the image of what I'm receiving over this night. All right, let's look at the bottom of the deck. Beautiful. The 9 of Pentacles. Beautiful. This is successful self-employment. This is material harvest. This is seeing the fruits of your labor. They do call it self-employment, but it doesn't have to be self-employment. Though you add this with that 3 of Pentacles, it's like, baby, your creativity is off the charts. This is also very independent energy. And how I was saying about like trying not to fight over money? And I know it's easier said than done, but that 9 of Pentacles is showing us like your potential. Even if you have to start back at 0, how quickly you multiply. How quickly you can see the fruits of your labor. Look at that, the Emperor underneath that. So for some of you, it can certainly be building of a business. And maybe you haven't really seen the fruits of your labor yet, but that's what I'm feeling like. Is there something coming in between what wants to be and what is? And if that's the case, I feel like the only way around that is to use that sword. And using that sword, let's say like it's family. Well, we can't get rid of our family, right? But we don't have to live within drama. If there's drama going on, and I'm saying that because the Seven of Wands, it is like putting out fires, right? Fire after fire after fire, but then it becomes, I feel like, too much. So, it does represent standing your ground, but yet at the same time, I'm feeling like I'm going to stand my ground, but I also want to know what I'm fighting for and what's worth the fight. Again, I don't feel like you even know this night is coming in yet. You don't even know the potential. And I feel like what you're doing is this time has been about you growing. Like you're growing. You're growing in like all different areas. I feel like the one place you may not be too happy in is your love life. But that's just for now. And I feel like it's kind of up to you. This death card, the closing of a door, so that a new door can open. And look at the beautiful energy that follows that. The resistance to close that door. Maybe I need a different perspective. Look at things in a different way. All right, well, let's bring in the crystal vision and let's go over this. And by the way, I do feel the energy for some of blended families. So, like you have children, they have children, and some I feel like your children are grown. But it can also represent some of you who you're starting a family with, if you so choose, because again, the ball gets put in your court just the way it should be, right? That's your free will. Strength card may say, well, I expected some more time to heal before this night came in. I thought I'd have more time to overcome. But here's the thing, this must be a soulmate energy. Literally, because that is exactly what you're moving towards, soulmate energy in all forms. But one is of love. And how beautiful that you're sitting here feeling pretty good. It doesn't mean like I have to have a lot of money. Because again, I may be giving up some, but I definitely feel you'll recoup it. Like even if that sword is about leaving a job, whatever it may be for you, I feel like you're going to reap the benefits of the action steps you take. And remember, Mother Mary also said that about action, right? But hope at the same time. All right. Let's bring in the crystal vision. I know I already said that. I probably already shuffled them. It's interesting. I get so into the reading that I literally do not know what my hands are doing half the time. All right, let's start at the beginning. Let's read it as a whole. This king's got me a little confused. Because I'm wondering, is he going or is he staying? Or is he new? I should put it a different way. Is he leaving or is he someone new? Look at this, the Four of Wands again. Okay, well, now it's so close to justice. Huh. Some of you, it is a marriage. It is what was a connection. But it's not the happy home it used to be. And I feel like what some of you did during this time period, let's say, is you poured yourself into your creative energies. And that's why I feel like you're starting to reap the benefits of that. Like some of you are making some real life changes, but this is the time. Okay. So I feel like there's someone who, they just didn't recognize who you truly are. They didn't appreciate you for who you truly are. Now, that could have gone both ways. I don't always want to put the blame on the other person. But let's face it that, something is unbalanced. And now it does feel like a connection. But we're not appreciating each other anymore. We have the Strength card in reverse. Strength card in the upright there. Someone may have some, I don't feel like this is you. I feel like there is someone that you're connected to who may have, how do I say this, like a personal issue, like temptation and not overcoming it. But why aren't they overcoming it? Because I don't feel they feel it's a problem. At least they don't speak it that that's a problem. They probably know it, but I do feel that. And I feel that I've given someone plenty of time to recognize this, but they're not recognizing it. They're not recognizing it. And I feel like, well, that's my cue to move on. I feel like it's caused a lot of fights. And I feel that I don't know why I'm picking this up. This may just be for a couple people, but I feel this energy of where I had to help. Like, let's say someone goes out drinking and they go out drinking a lot and then they get caught driving and then they call you, come bail me out. And it's not the first time, right? And I'm just using that as an example, but I have a feeling that's true for someone. So I feel like I may have bailed this person out over and over. And I don't mean from jail. Maybe a few times. Because I do feel like there's an issue here. And there's an issue that someone just is not planning on working on. They're not planning to change that part of themselves. And I don't feel like you're accepting it anymore. And that's why the hangman is moving away from justice and looking over at the magician. Some of you may think, well, to cut these ties, it's not going to be easy. And I don't mean it because I'm going to miss the person, because I don't feel they're very balanced. I don't feel they're balanced. Not even very. They're not balanced. And this issue, it's their issue. And what I mean is, it's their soul's issue. So it could be something that their soul came here, and a lot of people don't like it when I say this, but, some of our souls came here to live a difficult life, to see if we could overcome certain things. But I don't feel like this person looks at their situation as anything is wrong. So be it. So be it, right? Two of Swords. I just got to face it. Two swords, there's a blindfold on. It literally means if something you don't want to face, but facing it is the answer. Sometimes when we wear this blindfold, our imagination goes wild. We may think like, well, this is the end. And it is the end of something, but the beginning of something new. I feel like who's ever using this sword has thought long and hard about it. And I do feel like the blindfold comes off. And I want to say that I feel some of you literally felt responsible to help someone overcome something that they just don't want to. So know that's not your job. And know that you don't have to stick around unless you want to. That is your free will. But I don't feel like you want to. I feel like you're looking like the other direction. But it makes sense, the two swords being here. Page of Pentacles. So, a learning experience. What I have learned along the way. Coming over the Death card and the Magician. It's kind of like looking at this like a lesson. The lessons that have taught me. I wouldn't be who I am today without these lessons, without the things that I've overcome. And I need to remember that I can overcome and I can do it again. Some of you could have been dealing with like a karmic soulmate. But, again, I just feel resistant to change. So what do I do? What do I do? I need to make the change myself. When the Page of Pentacles shows up, I feel like it really speaks about like your whole life and everything you've been learning and how you've been growing. It can talk about book smarts, but I feel like it's more like, like earthly lessons, spiritual lessons. The Ace of Swords, communication. Okay, well, it's mirroring the Four of Wands, but it also has the Four of Wands down here. I feel like what this is saying is this connection, communication, bad, bad, denial. Someone doesn't want to face their truth. So be it. But then I feel this Ace of Swords connected to this other Four of Wands who's connected to the Knight of Cups. So I know this is new. Even if it's something that was old, it's new again. And what I mean by that is, sometimes it could be someone from back in the day. um, or even a past life. Ace of Swords is also my yes card. So some of you came here looking for a yes or no type of answer. The answer seems to be yes. These beautiful roses climbing up this ace. And, it's reminding me of like a rose vine, but it's still growing, right? It's still growing. There's the beautiful butterflies all around it. I know that's a symbol for many of you. I feel like the hangman is saying to the magician, there's got to be more than this, right? There's got to be more. The magician is like, you're right. Take off the blindfold. Use that sword. Look at that, justice in reverse. Interesting. Well, for some of you, it can mean Libra in reverse. We have the Eight of Pentacles over the Two of Pentacles. And then we have the Three of Swords over the Strength card and below the Two of Swords. Wow. Someone is breaking your heart. And I feel like they're breaking your heart due to their non-action. And I feel like what some of you did, because this feels like there's been time here, right? This feels like a connection that's been together for a while. And that makes it even harder. But I get this feeling that, let's just say, when you knew it was over, I get this feeling of you fantasizing about real love. And not that that wasn't real love. It was just a different type of love, a lower vibrational love. And as we evolve spiritually, so does love. So does everything. So I do get this, I feel like with the moon here, some of you had been fantasizing about what life would look like if I close this door. And I feel like this is showing us if the door doesn't close, then everything remains the same. That Two of Swords going into the Three of Swords. That's why I have to take that blindfold off. But I do love the Eight of Pentacles here because, again, and especially with the Nine of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, because I definitely feel some of you taking that creative energy and building something for yourself. Eight of Pentacles talks about the willingness to go into something as the apprentice, but knowing that one day you will be the master teacher. Well, that's what I feel in the Nine of Pentacles. You're the master teacher. And even having the Emperor under that, who I often feel is a business owner. He's definitely a leader of the people. He or she. And this may be why I felt like light workers and healers, you may be pushed extra hard to clear away what's no longer serving you. Like, if I question, will it get better? I feel like the answer is no. And I hate to say that. Let's put it this way. If someone recognizes the issues that they have within them, and I'm talking about the other person, then things could change. But I'm not seeing that anywhere. I'm seeing the opposite. I feel the opposite. Like there's nothing wrong with me, there's something wrong with you. Well, there's not. But I feel like if one day you're like, okay, whatever. So, anyways, what I keep trying to say is I feel like you may have like daydreamed about, let's just say love, but love of the highest form. Like, what does that feel like? What does it feel like? It feels to me like you're getting your money together. It feels like your creativity is really on fire. And for some of you, that's what you turn to during this hardship. You turn to your um, the creative part of your soul. And you built something. Now, you may have done that while you were still connected. And that may be why you're like, but I don't want to give up any of the money I've earned. And I get that. But then again, I feel you'll recoup. I guess I should leave that up to you. But I do feel you'll recoup it. Okay, we got quite a few, but we're going to take them. We have, interesting, the Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups speaks about where one's focus is at. And in the Five of Cups, the focus is on the cups that have been knocked over, the cups that aren't working out. Five is about a change. It's interesting, it's coming below the Death card, which is change. And what's behind this person when they make that change? Soulmates. Two cups. Then we have, interesting, the Four of Pentacles again, but this time it's coming over the Four of Wands. And then, well, hello, lovers. Under the Knight of Cups. So, card of Gemini. The meaning is a head over heart decision. And I get that, right? That's probably what you are doing, trying to decide. But this speaks about the chemistry between two people. Like, I feel like it's just undeniable. I didn't feel it up here. I feel like this is new. Even if it's old again for some of you, it's still coming in as new. So what I mean by that is, like, I'll use Sam and I for an example. We dated when we were teenagers and then broke up and then got back together 40 years later as adults. So we didn't know each other as adults. We had to get to know each other again. But we did. The Hangman. The Tower. I do not think the Tower is coming for you. I feel like this is you giving that Tower. Look at this, the Sun. Beautiful. And last but not least, hello, Wheel. Hello, Destiny. I feel like if we could just look at the situation that we're connected with another one who is just very resistant to any change, but you just can't live that way any longer. So the change has to come through you, right? It must be your action. Because I get the feeling that the other person will take no action. Like, why would I? Right? I can do what I do, and then you have money. You know what I mean? Like, well, not any longer, sister or brother. So I feel like you're giving this tower, which is perfect because it's coming under the 2 swords and the 3 swords. And this hangman that's actually mirroring the hangman. And the hangman is seeking wisdom from our greatest mentor, the magician. I feel like this is what the magician is saying. You've got to hand this tower out. And then look what happens. The sun comes out. Interesting because we have the feminine of the moon and the masculine of the sun. And that makes me wonder, the lovers, definitely soulmate, but they could also be twin flames. What am I holding up? The sun is your illuminator. It really is the promise of a brand new day. And that is what lies. How do I want to say this? Like when I close that door of the death card, this is what opens up the sun. It's kind of like feeling like a kid again. I feel like this Knight of Cups has something to do with that. Some of you may have received communication from someone before, like, you ultimately use that sword. But I have a feeling if that's the case, that got you moving. That got you moving. It's like this person brought light back into your life. And the wheel is your destiny. It's interesting because it's coming over this Four of Wands, and I'm not going to say this Four of Wands wasn't also your destiny. It probably was, but it probably was getting you ready for what feels like your true love. Excuse me 1 second.